Fellow bartenders, we're doomed. The new generations are drinking less and less. Or at least, that's what the big headlines wants us to believe. But is it really true? We'll talk about that today. Either way, I tried to see this as a challenge to find new ways of catering to modern guests. And I think today's cocktail will do just that. It's a delicious, low ABV, silky, bubbly mixture that I'm really proud of. If you think the future of cocktails is bright, hit the subscribe button below and let's dive right in.
It's cocktail time.
So, welcome to the other part of the studio. You might have noticed that every few weeks there is a new article, a chart, or a video saying that Gen Z is killing alcohol. The idea is simple. Young people don't drink like older generations did. Some studies even show record lows in how many young adults drink at all. And teenagers today drink far less than teenagers did 20 years ago. I'd say we can all agree that that specific statistic is a good thing. So, is this the end of cocktail bars as we know them? Are we headed towards a new dry era? Well, the data isn't as clear as those headlines make it sound. For one, a lot of those Gen Z spends less on alcohol graphs include people who are underage. Of course their spending is lower, and when you look only at those who are old enough to drink, their drinking habit is actually close to millennials and Gen X at the same age. In some markets, it's even rising. As highlighted by Drinks International, the proportion of legal drinking age Gen Z consumers who have consumed alcohol in the past 6 months has gone up in all major markets, like the US, UK and Australia. So to quote, the idea that Gen Z legal drinking age drinkers are somehow fundamentally different from other age groups isn't supported by the evidence. With all that said, the overall number of adults who drink has still dropped to historic lows in the US. At the same time, the no and low alcohol category keeps growing year after year. And Gen Z, or the generation of moderation, is the one driving this growth. In surveys, nearly half of 18 to 24-year-olds say they sometimes choose a non-alcoholic drink when going out. That doesn't mean the party is over, it just means the rules of the game are changing. If you're a bartender or a bar owner, this is actually an opportunity. This community has shown it can adapt to sudden changes on multiple occasions. From Prohibition, where it was estimated that New York alone had over 30,000 speakeasies, to more recent lockdowns, which saw the rise of canned cocktails and a boom of bartenders on social media platforms, including yours truly. Now it's on us to design menus where a non-alcoholic drink feels just as special as a cocktail with spirits. We can create crafted non-alcoholic cocktails or even low ABV twists that keep the flavor and the fun without the heavy heat of alcohol. So instead of thinking we're doomed, let's think how we can adapt. That's where today's cocktail comes in. Created for my Mastering Bubbles masterclass, where we explore how we can use sparkling wine not just as a spritz stopper, but as a true base for cocktails. Today's cocktail starts with a non-alcoholic milk punch base, with all flavors of the Piña Colada. But it's the body and richness of FIOL Prosecco that takes it to the next level. The subtle notes of apple, pear, and sweet peaches will enhance the fruity character of pineapple and coconut in the base of our cocktail, and wine's acidity will give it some extra freshness. Put it all together and you'll end up with a cocktail that's light in alcohol but still full of flavor. The perfect example of how we can meet this challenge. That's why I'm calling it the Gen Z Colada. To make it, you'll first need to make the milk punch base. The pineapple, lime and rum notes will come from pineapple juice, lime juice, demerara sugar, nutmeg, vanilla, crushed coffee beans and banana. Coconut comes into play with the milk punch process, thanks to the coconut milk and coconut cream. For starters, we are adding everything to a blender. 20 ounces or 600 milliliters of pineapple juice, 100 grams of lime juice, 100 grams of demerara sugar, 140 grams of banana, and half a gram of vanilla. With a good blender, this might be overkill, but I always cut the vanilla pot lengthwise and scrape out the seeds. But even a good blender can use some help with crushing spices. Add 0.4 gram of nutmeg and 1 gram of coffee beans into a mortar and crush it slightly. The coffee beans are a nod to the delicious 𝗡𝗲𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗁𝗍 Piña Colada we made last year. Now blend everything on high speed until smooth and the sugar has fully dissolved. Now for the milk punch step. Here I'll mix coconut milk and coconut cream in a small pot and heat it up gently. I found that warm milk does a better job at curdling, but with milk alternatives, even this cannot guarantee a fully clear result. Now we pour the blended mixture over the warm coconut base. After about 30 minutes, pour it over a cloth filter. If the first liquid coming through is still pretty murky, just refilter that part once the curds form an additional filter. Don't worry if it's not super clear, because we're not force carbonating this milk punch base. And at the end of the day, not every cocktail needs to be super clear. You'll still end up with a silky base that will keep in the fridge for about a week. In that case, bottle it and add a label, of course. With that, you have a base for a non-alcoholic Piña Colada that you can take into multiple directions. I found that mixing it with FIOL works great, but feel free to experiment. It's a simple process. All we need is a chilled highball glass with a clear tempered ice beer. If you want to make this at home, check out my ice making episode. First we pour in 90 grams of FIOL Prosecco. Then, to boost all of the flavors, add 2 drops of 20% saline solution. Lastly, top it with 2.5 ounces or 75 ml of the Piña Colada milk punch base. Give it a gentle stir and garnish with pineapple leaves. Light in ABV and simple to build, but full and complex in flavors. The milk punch base gives it a rum-like flavor, body and warmth, and FIOL's crisp apple notes highlight the pineapple beautifully. You know where these flavors came from, but the cocktail is still going down its own path. Just like these new generations are doing in relation to what, how, and when they drink. Are we heading into a new prohibition? I don't think so, but guests are changing the way they drink. I shared my ideas on how to adapt. If you have yours, share them in the comments below. And while you're down there, click the link where you can grab some hot cocktail time merch, like pins, ties, socks, and more. And if you want your next cocktail to be without alcohol, check out this playlist. Until next time, cheers, friends of cocktails.